things have just blossomed over the last few years. So it's really, we are going to be looking at a journey from here to there, an immersive interactive course that takes us from where we are to where we want to go. So, and it talks about what that might look like in community for not only Unity, but for our community that surrounds us. Guys, we just have a lot of things going on here. We really do very, very, very positive things. So thank you for being a part of it. Jennifer, raise your hand. I'd like to thank you for the facilities work. Jennifer's been coming in, running wires, and really handling maintenance on the building, both here and at Chi House, where we're starting the retreat center. So thank you so much. Joshua, operations, as you can see, we've evolved a lot of the way we look at things, and it's these kind of people that help us to grow in the spaces we're growing. Greg in the kitchen. Thank you, Greg, for everything you do. And Mary Ellen, events and in the kitchen. And there's so many other people to thank, but, let's just throw out a few acknowledgments as we go and say thank you. There's one other thing I'd like to do for Easter coming up. We have a really nice, I participated in some singing the other day with Reverend Claudia, what she's doing. She was going to do the weekend after Easter, that Sunday. And after I heard it, I was like, why are we doing this the weekend after Easter? Why don't we do this the weekend of Easter? And everybody was like, Mary was like, yeah, I vote we do it Easter. I did too. So it's going to be a really nice little Jesus Christ Superstar kind of neat little musical Easter thing. And I think you'll really enjoy it because it kind of brought some tears and beautiful tears to my eyes. And today, thank you, John. Today we have the Sustainable Living Group at 2:30. 2:30 today is a Sustainable Living Group, and again, if you don't know what that is, that's preparation for teaching people how to do gardening, for how to prepare foods in case of a earth change event, a tornado, any kind of thing like that, just so we are prepared as community, and we're teaching each other how to do that. So all these things that we're doing is about teaching people how to do things.
In this moment, everything shows up, everything presents itself just as it is. And when you slow down, let it all happen. Something fantastic, magic happens in you. And when you breathe in, it's like we're all listening to an echoing of our own soul. It's just like a rain cloud. Relief, it comes pouring down on a thirsty world. Meditation is a medication to cure the illusion of a separation. Meditation is a medication to cure the illusion of a separation, a separation. Into a mind that's still becomes a cup that's filled with effervescence, ever-presence, and a heart that swells. And when you drink from this to never-ending peacefulness, don't have to believe in this. It's a story that tells itself. And when you breathe in, it's like we're all listening to an echo of our own soul. just like a rain cloud. Relief it comes pouring down on a thirsty world. Meditation is a medication to cure the illusion of a separation. Meditation is a medication to cure the illusion of a separation. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. We are one when we are all together. We are one when we are all alone. I have a dream. We are one when we are all together. We are one when we are all alone. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Oh.
As we close our eyes, we say thank you for the oneness that we are, for the oneness that the presence of God, presence of the universal energy and knowledge and oneness that streams through us all. We say thank you for this beautiful day, for the people like Bob SIma who are out singing this music, and Tom and Mary who are singing it here for us every week, bringing music into our lives and love. We say thank you. Okay, Jillian's going to do our daily word for us now, so if everybody's ready, I'd like to get back to their seats.
Our daily word today is awaken. Awaken to spirit, I am blessed and a blessing. While asleep, I am being refreshed physically and mentally. When I awake, I have a greater awareness of my oneness with the world. I go about my day taking in and being responsive to other people and my surroundings. Prayer provides me with a clear view of God's presence in all and through all. I feel the joy of living a God-centered life. I hear the still, small voice within and follow divine guidance. I understand that the diversity in people and in all creation is a gift from God. Each new day is an invitation to fill the next 24 hours with faith. Awaken to spirit, I am blessed and a blessing. Besides this, you know what time it is, how it is now the moment for you to wake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we become believers. Romans 13:11.
And then our statement of truth. There is only one presence, one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, the omnipotent. All right, now let's go into our silent meditation. Can I get a little music in the background, Mary, please? And as we close our eyes, take a deep breath in. And really, truly begin to realize the power that exists within each of us. The power that exists within my being, that runs through my soul, that is not just connected to me, but that is connected to everything in this universe within me, and then outflows without. So within and without, we feel that amazing piece of connection with God that we can only feel for ourselves. That piece of love and joy and oneness that no one can tell you about, because it is within you, and it is in that place that you experience that oneness of God, of Source, of the light that you are. As we take a little journey deep within, we let the music just take us there. Today, instead of the music stopping, the music will continue. As we take that little journey deep within, as my voice stops and you hear the truth of who you are for the next few moments. And as we become present in the room again, I invite you to say your version of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine is done, on earth as it is in heaven. And we are given this day our daily bread, and forgiven our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. We are led not into temptation. We are delivered from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory, forever and ever, and so it is. Namaste, namaskar. You know, as I started doing this work on nonviolent communication, and we started doing our Wednesday night workshops, and of course we've been doing them for a while, and everything's just building and building and building and building. The idea is we know we are a community of humanity. We are a community of beings. We are people having an experience through this never-ending body. It doesn't, the physicalness of it may pass from us, but the beauty that we are called to be inside, that soul, it lives forever. And we're constantly called back to community, to finding each other. And as we've been trying to work with that, more and more of these tools like the 4 agreements, and we can start the slides up there if you'd like, Josh. But the 4 agreements, you don't have them. I really need these. So I really need this. Do you know where it is? Yeah, and this is going to put us a little bit behind, and I'm sorry to do that. But you know what? I think what I'll do then is, what I'd like to do is, let's just talk about the 4 agreements. I didn't know they didn't make it to him. But what we started talking about was the 4 agreements. And the first agreement we started talking about and we brought to our Wednesday night class was being impeccable with your word. I got some feedback on that last week from John and several other people, and I'm glad I got the feedback, because without feedback, sometimes we leave each other in a place where we're going, just exactly what does that mean, or what does impeccable mean? Because we don't use that word every single day. But Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote this book, The 4 Agreements, is really one of those principal books in unity. And what he talks about being impeccable with your word is speak with integrity. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don Miguel talks about us being domesticated from the time we were born. We also talk about that as programming, right? We've talked about that many times, as being programmed from the time that we grew up to now. And when we were young, remember we played, we ran on, we envisioned these pictures of running on the beach and just being happy, and there wasn't anything that got in our way because we weren't fully domesticated yet. And it almost sounds like being domesticated like a cow to me. Every time I think of being domesticated, I think, wow, I'm like a cow. I walk around and I'm herded over here to this stall and I'm taught to eat my food. But being human, we have a lot more consciousness than a cow, I think. And in that, we begin picking up all these little things and what he calls in that process of domestication, we pick up all these right and wrongs. It's right that I do this. It's wrong that I do this. And again, we're going to run through some of this again when the slides come up. But, you think about the little girl who, he talks about this story of this little girl that comes on and she's just singing and she's happy and she's like having such a great day and her mother's had a bad day and her mother has a headache and her mother all of a sudden, out of not trying to be angry or mean or anything at first, but all of a sudden the little girl starts singing louder and louder and louder. And then all of a sudden the mother just screams at her and says, "Would you shut up? Your voice is awful. You sound terrible." And the little girl shuts up. And then the little girl goes through her life and the little girl stops talking at school. She stops singing at school. She starts thinking she has an ugly voice. That ugly voice transfers into "I'm ugly," into "I shouldn't talk," into "I should never express myself." All these programs, all these lies about herself, she just set up because someone else projected something onto her that came from her family. So when we talk about these 4 agreements, that's what we're talking about. And thank y'all for being so loving. And Josh, thank you for your quick response time on that. That was amazing. 4 agreements. What you are seeing and hearing is a dream. What Don Miguel talks about is we are living in a dream both when we sleep and when we are awake. It's a dream both ways. When we go to sleep, we have one kind of dream. When we wake up, we're living in another kind of dream because your dream when your brain is awake and when your brain is asleep. The dream of the planet includes everything we know, and it has so many rules. So for that little girl that just had that experience, she just set up a whole bunch of rules for the rest of her life. And if she doesn't break those rules, she's going to be trapped in those rules for the rest of her life. And those rules are going to become more rules and more rules. And then as she learns different things, we are born and we are hooked into the dream via other humans. Next. We are living in a dream and we do it, what I was just speaking of. It can become a nightmare. So all of a sudden, instead of living in a dream that could be heavenly, it becomes hell for so many people on this planet. And then we begin to transfer that information back and forth to each other. And we begin to set up our own ideas. The 4 agreements will transform our lives when we are ready and have the courage to break the old dreaming. We forget how to be like children, how to laugh, and how to have joy. We've become domesticated. Those around us tell us what they think, and we agree and store that information in our head. So every time somebody says something to me along my life path, every time somebody has said something to you along your path, you took that in and you stored it. You may not have thought you wanted to store it, but you stored it. And then that became another piece of your programming. It became another piece of your domestication. So we start judging ourselves and rewarding ourselves and punishing ourselves for what we've done. And within ourselves, we begin to create who we are. And it is no longer anything that is true to us. It's all these perceptions and these realities that we've heard from everybody. And then what do we begin to do? We begin to use those judgments because we've created something about ourselves. And then when somebody else does something, we take our judgments of all those lies we learned and we project it back on someone else. And we say, "Oh, you did that? Oh, you're ugly? Oh, you're fat? Oh, you're this or you're that?" All those things that just aren't true because you're beautiful. It's just these things, and they've been taught for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So as we begin to break those cycles, we have not had a chance of escaping the domestication. We just haven't had a chance. So next. we begin to create our personal book of law. That personal book of law, and that's what I was just saying. Every time something happens to you, it goes into your personal book of law. We conform to the world. We talked about this too in these classes. For domestication, we don't feel things. Once we are domesticated, we believe the lies we've told about ourselves because we don't know ourselves. We've forgotten how to be free, and we've become our own book of law. Next. By exploring the four agreements, we can begin to look at this, and the word impeccable becomes so important. It is the first rule that Ruiz talks about in this book. Because if we can begin to become impeccable with our word, we can begin to shift that book of law that we've created an entire lifetime. If we can begin to, well, let's just read it. The gift that comes directly from God, you are the Word. So when we talked about this last week, and this got a little hairy for some of us, but in the beginning there was the Word, right? The Word spoken from God. That might have sounded like Om, the expression of the universe expressing itself in love. As manifestation was created and we came into being as man, as women, as human beings, as that began to occur and we began to take on the Word, this became the Word. Because this is what we're manifesting from the original God source. So if all of that is coming in, and then we have the power made in God's image to speak that word, what did man begin to do with that word? In that fall from grace is probably what was referred to in the Bible. The fall from grace is we started using the word in ways to benefit ourselves and to tear others down and to create societies and hierarchical needs that no longer served God but served ourselves. No longer served universal goodness, universal love, but served ourselves. And in that we began to change love into power, into our needs. Then we begin to create all the events in our life. And then that book of law that we created for ourselves, we were taught, create the events in your life you want. Your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can create a living hell. He's pretty powerful the way that he uses it. Don Miguel uses this as magic. There's good magic and there's black magic. And when we are not impeccable with our word and we take the things that we have learned from people our entire lives and we say something ugly, we are directly using the word coming out of our mouth, which is God, which is us, and we are creating black magic. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty scary, how much power there is in that. And we don't even talk about magic and black magic in Unity usually, but Don Miguel does in this book. And it puts it in our face, so we have to look at it. But we also have the power to create beautiful, good manifestation. And we have the power to change that by becoming and learning what impeccability is with our word. Hitler misused the power of the word, and we know what he did with this word. All over the world, Hitler's word made men fear, and women around the world hurt each other. They killed each other. And it resonated around the world, and everybody got it. One word from our mouths can create a continuous change of events. Next, please. Or we can release someone from that spell, as he puts it. And we release people from that spell by recognizing the beauty that they truly are. And we release that ugly thing that has been created in humanity since the beginning of time by offering love out of this voice, out of this word, because we are the representation of God, manifest. And when we do that out of love and we learn how to communicate in nonviolent communication, we learn how to speak, and that's what we're trying to do. We're all on the journey. We're not here to hurt each other. We're not intentionally doing it. But we got trained in our book of law. Because, I saw you yesterday do this, and now I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Not my job. Not my job to tell you what I think about you. It's my job to love you. It's not your job, if I was to tell you what I thought about it, to even respond to that. Because there's no need to, because that's where we start going into, and let's go ahead and skip over to, we could go into this a lot further, but I want to skip into the second agreement. And that's where I'd like to go now. The second agreement, we talk about nothing others do is because of you. Nothing others do is because of you. When others say and do, what others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. What Don Miguel says is if you can take that first rule of impeccability with your word, and then join it together with this second rule, that being the first rule, this being the second rule, you erase 75% of that old book that you created. And that's really sounds pretty easy. It sounds pretty easy. So don't take anything personally. Whatever happens around you, don't take anything personally. When you refuse to take things personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your feelings of anger, jealous, and even your sadness will simply disappear. Don't take things personally. And he says it over and over and over again in his reading. Just don't take things personally. Stop. Please, stop. Taking things personally is taking in someone else's poison. Do you want to take in their poison? Even though you know you're programmed to do it. If you don't take things personally, you're immune to and in the middle of hell. What others think of you is none of your business. Truth is that is not really about you. It's about them. It's about their programming. So whatever you did, they responded to, it's not about you at all. It's about what they were programmed from the time they were a child to believe about themselves. You get it? You get it? What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, of their own dream. When you are immune to the actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. What they say, what they do, the opinions they give according to the agreements they have made up in their own mind. Next, please. You're hurting yourself. Not because I don't believe in you, but because you are the director in your own mind. It is your own movie, and the way you see the movie is something personal to you. When they respond to you, when you respond to them. It's a dream. People have been talking about this matrix we live in, and it's becoming more and more of a topic of conversation, that some people can even see it now. They can actually even see the breakdown of the fractals that make up the illusions that we're living in. That's powerful. We are becoming so high in our frequencies that it's right in our face. And again, this book's been out a few years, but we keep going back to it and we keep remembering because it's so powerful. It's so beautiful. Believing in lies creates injustice, fear, and suffering. Next one, please. I don't want to go, because we can go into the ugly side of this, but I'd like for y'all to leave here feeling good today. The 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. The second one, don't take anything personally. I've created a sheet here for you to take and stick on your refrigerator door. And it is it's the 4 agreements. So you can stick that on your refrigerator. You can start looking at it. And then when we get into weeks 3 and 4, as you work on 1, as you work on 2, Weeks 3 and 4 will make a little more sense. Next, please. Don't take anything personally. Humans are addicted to suffering. Go on to the next one, please. The whole world can gossip, and you are immune if you don't take it personally. All the little gossipy things, that's, as Don, as he calls it, that's casting magic. When we gossip, we're casting magic. We don't have time for it. You don't want to do that. It's not necessary. It doesn't do anything good in our lives. But when we project love, we do good things in our lives. Next, please. As you make this agreement and not taking anything personally, you won't have to put your trust into others, what they say or what they do. You will only need to trust yourself in making responsible choices. So if you're coming from a place of impeccability with where you speak, and you're not taking things personally, it doesn't matter anymore what anybody says, because you are living fearlessly. You begin to live fearlessly in a way that empowers you and everyone else around you. When you truly understand this, no one can hurt you, even when your heart is wide open. Remember all those things we learned? Be careful, guard yourself. When your heart's wide open, protect yourself. And we still do that. We call on our ascended masters. We call on Jesus Christ. We call on the great Buddhists. We call on those people in realms around us to surround us in light. And we still want to do that. That's just loving. That's giving ourselves up to something greater than we are that comes through the Christ consciousness, what we call it, that universal spirit. You can't, as far as what you need without guilt or self-judgment. There's no more reason for it. And 75% of everything you've ever learned can now be dissolved like that. Next, please. Is it the last one? So that's where we go with this. We have such amazing things to do together, and that's why we have classes. That's why we do meditations. That's why we provide tools. That's why every single time when you come here, hopefully you get something you need. You may not need to come every week. You may want to come every week. You may want to come to a meditation. You may want to go out in your life and do amazing things, but remember, do it impeccably. And I hope I was better with my impeccable words by using some words on the screen, because it's a big one. This is not such easy stuff to grasp for every one of us, because we don't use those words all the time. Impeccable, it makes us sound like we have to be absolutely perfect, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about knowing your truth of who you are inside and to what is truly loving for you. Not for me, for you. And then whatever is said around you, just don't take it personally. Continue to love yourself and walk in that strength. And I promise you're going to have a beautiful and more beautiful day, day after day after day.